Hey everybody, Claire Chancellor here. Today I want to go on a journey with you to better understand your emotions and your feelings. When we are manifesting and want what we want, we often assume by having what we want, it will make us feel happier. So there's a gap, right, between where you currently are, potentially not so happy, and having that thing will make me happy. But the truth is, while you've got those limiting emotions, the lack of happiness there, those are all pieces of key information, clues to why you don't actually have what you want. And so it's time to actually pay attention to what those limiting emotions are telling you so that you can clear them away and manifest what you want. Today, we're going to go pretty deep to have that self awareness about what your emotions and your feelings are telling you and to better understand what's causing you to not have what you want. So let's get started. We're here on step 3, and we're about to explore your emotions, also what you're tolerating. When you think about your current environment, your home, work, your car, and you sort of scan around that environment, I want you to think about, what are you tolerating? Maybe you're tolerating, the kitchen bench always being a mess. Maybe you're tolerating the linen cupboard being a mess, the garage, the lawns that haven't been mown for weeks. Maybe you're tolerating those shoes that make you pinch or the wardrobe that doesn't feel like you anymore. When you think about everything that you've been tolerating, I want you to think about what feelings come up when you think about, again, all of those emails, the to-do list, the clutter, nobody helping, all of the burdens and responsibilities. Because when you start to notice what you're tolerating, you'll also start to notice these limiting emotions start to come up. The anxiety, the stress, the burnout, the frustration, the fatigue, everything that goes with it. And it's like, well, so what if you're frustrated? It's just a feeling, right? Well, the truth is, when we are engaged with limiting emotions, our energy, our frequency restricts right down into fear, scarcity, and lack. And we cannot manifest what we want from that limited point of view. When we're manifesting in that rich life, the personal freedom that you want, the good health, the good friends, then the goal is to actually manifest what you want already excited, feeling into that satisfaction, the curiosity, the happiness, everything that you want in your life, and to feel it right now as you're on the journey to manifest what you want. So the feelings are going to reveal if you're pursuing what you want with that sense of passion and excitement, or if you're giving your power away and stopping you from having what you want, stopping that progress, keeping you in circles, feeling like you're just hitting your head up against a brick wall, nothing's changing. And so with that, I want you to think about a recent time when you had to pay a really big, uncomfortable kind of bill. I want you to think about that time and just take notice here how your body responds to the idea of paying that really big bill. Now, each and every moment, we are engaged with our reality through our 5 senses. So we see, hear, taste, touch. And what happens here is that information comes in throughout your mind, that you may hear somebody tell you the cost. And immediately your body scans for moments in the past where you've had this kind of stress. And it's like, there's the gasp, there's the breath, there's the sweaty palms, there's the, the tension in the body. And our mind starts to label that, to call that frustration, anger, whatever it is. Now, the interesting thing with this is that based on the senses, what you've seen, heard, taste, touched, smelt, is the first piece of that information that has caused you to drop your energy. So let me explain this one a little bit further here with a positive example. This is my daughter Lily when she was little, and I noticed that when I see my beautiful daughter, I'm engaged with my senses, right? I see her, I hear her giggling, my heart skips a beat with excitement. And now I'm naming that to say, yes, I'm in love, or yes, I'm happy, yes, I'm excited. And the truth is that when we notice how our body is responding to our reality, we can now intercept. If it starts to spiral down into triggers, it's like, oh, I'm noticing here there's that kick in the guts kind of feeling, or there's the gasp, or there's the heart racing. And it's like, okay, this is what's causing me to drop my energy, the way that I'm interpreting my reality, the meaning that I'm putting to it. So if you're manifesting in that financial freedom, the health, the well-being, you really do also have to have that self-awareness so that you are out of that stuckness, getting yourself out of the spiral of the limitations in survival to come up into that thriving. Because on a cheeky sense of humor here, when we think about going on a roller coaster, one person may see that as an absolute thrill, and yet another person sees that as absolute terror. And the difference is the meaning that they're putting to that experience. And so, yes, you can definitely start to train yourself to be able to find the thrill and the the thrill in life's adventure instead of naming it as a problem. So let me share with you the secret that I listen out for to identify when a client is down in scarcity, down in that stuckness, down in that survival mode. Let me share with you what I'm listening out for that tells me exactly why they are not manifesting what they want. Now, when clients come to me, they have a smile on their face. They know that the outside of their life looks great. There's probably the great home with a mortgage, or the car, the job, the calendar full of responsibilities. And yet they still feel brain fogged, burnt out, exhausted. And beneath the surface, behind the mask, they are not happy. Their dominant feelings, their limiting feelings that they're being frustrated, resentful, overwhelmed, all of those things here, they're the dominant feelings that they're experiencing life. And as they've been draining their energy, restricting their energy, their body, their immune system, and everything's going to start to show that with the level of anxiety and stress. Waking up tired after a full night's sleep, they may binge eat or have food sensitivities. They may have digestive issues like bloating, constipation, IBS, low moods, depression-like symptoms, chronic inflammation, autoimmune challenges. All of these are clues based on how they've been dropping their energy. And their limitations don't stay quiet. Their body screams to get their attention. It's like their unconscious mind screaming the fire alarm, like, listen to me, like this is not working. And because of that noise, because of that internal chaos, there's the fatigue, the illness, the pain. Now, if they don't take notice of that, then their immune system will definitely show people around them that they are not coping. And you think about somebody who's got a cough, of like letting people know, I am not coping. Don't put another responsibility on me. Don't ask me to do anything more for you. My needs are not being considered. I'm done with all of the pressure. And so the body starts to speak for them, saying, like, I am not coping with how things are and how my needs keep being ignored. And this is also why adding more energy to their system is not the answer. Because if they do go off and do vitamins and all sorts of different things to pour more energy in, it means that they're still being showing others that they're capable, they delegate more tasks to them, and they even sink into more reasons why their needs are being ignored. So this is where, again, they are draining their energy for a reason, to say, like, I've had enough. And that drained energy, the limiting emotions, the resentment, the judgment, the frustration, the anxiety, the guilt, these emotions leak into every decision that they are taking and they're making. It stops them from receiving what they want because they're so tense, because they're not speaking up, because they're feeling so overwhelmed. And their emotions, their finances are going to show that, because they've got this undercurrent piece here going, if I ask for what I want, it's probably going to cost me. It's safer to stay small, and it's safer to actually do what I want for myself rather than, having to communicate and not feel like I'm being heard. It only adds to my frustration. So the house, the job, the responsibilities, they've created that many, many times based on shoulding themselves. They've asked other people, what should I do to have that security? And somebody else outside of them has said, like, yeah, get that university certificate, because then you'll always have the security to have a job. They won't have the security to have enough energy to do that job. But there's this list of like, okay, what you need to do to have that security based on other people's agenda, based on other people's insecurities, based on other people's projections. So that need to seek somebody else's validation or acceptance, or what should I do? You see this a lot, right, with doctors who are really, really burnt out and they don't have that satisfaction at work. Some of those doctors are there for that status because it's made their family look good. They're there because the shame if they didn't do it and pursued something else. So there's all of these undercurrents about where their energy is leaking and being drained. Now, I know immediately when they're starting to have that exhaustion, that fatigue, that burnout, that they have this invisible rule. They have this invisible rule that the other person should come first, me second. And how do I get this? How do I know that they have this particular belief, identity, that the other person should come first, me second? Well, I listen for it. And I also ask them about a recent problem that they've experienced. And these are the things that I'm listening for. They may say that they recently had an argument with somebody. They heard somebody being critical, whether that's their dad, a neighbor, a boyfriend. They've heard somebody being critical. You get that kick in the guts kind of feeling in their stomach. There's that panic that's draining the energy. And now they're naming that. And they're naming it something like, I am not enough. I'm frustrated. Like, I should have done better. I'm guilty. Could have done more for the other person. And it's like, there's that disconnect about their desire for the freedom and the energy and the mental clarity and the life that they want versus the childhood programming of what they needed to do based on other people's standards to gain approval and acceptance and to feel like they belong. So this is what's going on. Their biggest emotion that's, again, draining their energy is that fear of abandonment, fear of disconnection, being disowned emotionally, not just physically. This is that exhaustion where they retreat off to their room for hours on end because the world outside is just too much to deal with. And the reason that it's too much to deal with, there are clues. And what's going on is they're looking to other people about, what do I have to change about me to be accepted by you? And you think about that with the way you show up at work, about if you've got your goals set up, like, I need to impress my boss. Well, there's no amount of giving to your boss, showing up early, showing up and doing the cartwheels to be able to get what you need and that acceptance and that validation from your boss that, you've done a good job. Same at home, same within all relationships. If people know that you are always going to be there to fix, rescue, jump in, make it all about them, because the undercurrent is your level of insecurity, that you need them to be okay so you're okay, then your energy is going to drain really, really quickly, and it will stop you from manifesting what it is that you want, that career, the home, the cars, because there's so much emphasis on looking outside of yourself for somebody else to tell you good job. So manifesting isn't about thinking positively or being positive. In fact, that is a whole cycle of Pollyanna kind of positive toxic, being positive, toxic positivity, to just be in the flow, in the sense of going with the flow with what others want, seeing the best in people without having the discernment on what's actually going on. This isn't about thinking positive. This is actually becoming that truest version of you that does radiate that confidence, head held high, feeling great, putting yourself first in the way that this is what I need, and yes, I can help the other person, but it's about choice. Like, instead of I should be there, I should rescue, I should help, I shouldn't ask, I should blah, blah, blah. It's like, actually, yes, I can help you, but first I need to do this thing for me. And that brings in that nervous system regulation, that you will actually prioritize what you need. And so the nervous system frees up your energy, the mental clarity starts to come in, and so on and so forth. So the manifesting side of things and being on that coaching journey is being that full expression of you, free from all of the layers of the shoulds and everything that people told you that you had to do to fit in and belong. So yes, with a sense of humor, I do want you to be full of yourself, to be able to manifest that version of you that you were born to be. So if you're asking why your manifestation is not working, ask yourself a better question or two. What are you tolerating? And why are you giving your power away? What's the undercurrent going on there? What consequence are you worried about if you don't tolerate? What's the consequence of asking for what you want, and what people may actually respond with? Because this is giving you clues about why you haven't manifested what you want. So if you do want those permanent results with that financial freedom, the health, the well-being, then you must address why you're giving your power away. If you want the money, you must address the core fear of why you're still living to seek others' approval, validation, and acceptance. What's the fear that's going on based on the difference between where you currently are and the big wide world outside? Because the insights I'm about to share with you here, they are going to be invisible to the logical mind. These particular programs are right in the core, deep unconscious mind, where it holds all of your beliefs and your identity about how to be in this world, how to survive in this world. And so if you are stuck in needing to put other people first, people pleasing, rescuing, shooting yourself, this is telling us a lot about your childhood and the consequences if you didn't do what the other person said. This is telling us that there was a lack of healthy, secure relationships growing up, that people didn't teach you how to have that internal validation. And it really is as simple as that, teaching a little one, do you want this fork for dinner or do you want that fork for dinner? Like, oh, I want, the forks are the same. But this is demonstrating that at no point has someone taught you to put your needs first. It's been all about making sure they're okay so you're okay. So these limiting feelings are huge clues to your unconscious mind and the beliefs about why you're handing your power away and what's stopping you from having what you want. It's all of this that keeps restricting and draining your energy down. And so, why would anyone tolerate and give their power away? What's going on with this? Well, as I've been giving clues all the way along, it's about beliefs, the old beliefs that are still running the show based on the childhood consequences. As children, we all have a need to belong and to survive. And as adults, we take what we have learned to be independent and to navigate this world, right? So if you grew up in a healthy, secure environment where the adults also had that healthy self-worth, they would have modeled that emotional safety, the boundaries, the unconditional love, teaching their little ones that they matter, that they're allowed to take up space, and that they're allowed to ask for what they want. And other caregivers, are stuck in their scarcity patterns and they couldn't model safety because of that. They didn't feel safe themselves. It's like that generational thing. So this is where their love would have been real, yes, but it's often tangled in fear. Not enough time, not enough money. Their own nervous system is going in overdrive. And so they teach their little ones that, oh, if they're quiet and don't ask for what I want and behave perfectly, maybe the stress will pass. Now, when we think about this one step further, from a child's perspective, it's a big, unpredictable, scary world. You don't get to choose your environment. You can't leave when it's chaotic. So you have to adapt. You have to learn to please. You have to learn to perform, because you have to make sure that those caregivers accept, belong, and keep you around, because otherwise stepping out of that home is like, who's going to care for you? And so there's that deepest fear from the childhood point of view, the abandonment, the disconnect, being disowned, emotionally, not just physically. And this is where that program starts to get put in at a deep unconscious level within your identity. If my parents are not okay, I'm not safe. So there's this undercurrent of the fear that if the other person's not okay, if the other person's not comfortable, worse things can happen to me. So let's make sure that they're okay. Let's, tend to your siblings to keep them quiet. Let's clean the house to make sure mum's okay. Let's stay out of the way. All of these different things. All the other paths people can go down is being quite rebellious, but they don't tend to be my particular clients. I tend to attract in the people pleasers because I speak that language so well. I've had to do my own work on this. And so this is the undercurrent that is holding people back from asking for what they want and manifesting in what they want, because it's so much about the other person being okay, so you're okay. And so let's play with this for a second. Growing up with that external awareness of what's going on, you may pick up that other people are uncomfortable. It can be because they're being loud and arguing, and it can be because they're crying, or it can be because it's so quiet. It's like, the quiet before the storm. And now the body responds, and you can feel that pressure or want to disassociate or want to fix or want to do whatever you can to get some normality back into your world. And this is where the mind starts to scan, okay, I'm not safe. What should I do to keep the peace? What do I need to do? How should I be? And to avoid that stress and gain the peace, children take on the belief that they should be one of these. They should be the people pleaser, the responsible one, the invisible one, the smart one, the rebellious one, or even the hard worker. And to avoid disconnection from their caregiver, they may tidy the house without being asked, prepare the meals and the snacks to soothe the adult, to keep the noise levels down to avoid triggering more tension, to act as that third parent or emotional buffer, to calm down the siblings' dispute, to prevent the parent from getting upset. Because God forbid they step in and then it just goes even louder, more harder to deal with, and there's just utter chaos. So it's quite sophisticated to have these strategies, right? And this is what's going on. I know I'm okay if I put the other person's needs first and my needs second. I can avoid conflict and then I'm safe. If I make it about the other person, I avoid confrontation and then there's connection. I avoid rejection, so I feel like I'm in control, like if I can do all of the things for the other person. And I can also avoid what is right for me. So I do right for you so that, I matter in your world. I'm being agreeable. Now, and they will know this. They can push on those guilt buttons and make you do what they want you to do. And yeah, some people actually know this about their children or know this about their grown-up children, that they enjoy pushing their buttons. They dial up the drama and the chaos because that's how they do connection. The more stressed they are, the more you get closer. And so we have this fear that's going on about being disconnected. So there's that stressful fear. I should do this to avoid disconnection. I should be perfect, or I should help, or I should be the people pleaser. And then on the other hand, There's the part of you that wants what you want, to have that confident sense of who you are. So we really are being pulled in two different directions. And that's the definition of stress. Now, as an adult, if you take these programs into adulthood and continue to play out the people pleaser, the responsible one, the invisible one, the smart one, the rebellious one, the hard worker, it will come at a cost. It will come at a cost. So, what we did to avoid disconnection as a child becomes the shoulds that we carry into adulthood. So, should be easy, should be helpful, should never upset anyone, should never ask for too much, should keep things amicable. And then what happens is you'll feel the doubt or the guilt or the shame if you don't play into these old roles that you know so well. So in a group coaching, this is where we'd have a bit of a breather and a talk around the group. And so, yes, your feelings now are going to tell you that you're handing your power away. That sense of shame that you have, it is telling you that it's all about the other person being in charge, living up to the other person's expectations, like the shame. I don't measure up to your standards. The guilt. I've done something wrong by you. Judgment. I'm not enough to get your approval, to do right by you. Like, what do I have to change about me to be okay with you? The frustration is telling you that the other person is blocking what you want because you've got to deal with them before you can pursue what you want. The anger is telling you that there's a level of powerlessness here that they don't consider your needs. And no matter how loud you get or teary you get, they still don't consider what you need. And so there's the anger that comes up after that sense of powerlessness. And the hurt is saying that I need you to rescue me. Like I can't do this. I need somebody else outside of myself to help. And so quickly going over this again, if you've been feeling into that shame, the shame is saying, okay, what's wrong with me? And again, that's that perceived failure to measure up to other people's expectations. The judgment, what do I have to change about me to be accepted by you? And there's these rigid views of what's right and what's wrong according to somebody else. Anger, as I've said, I assume my needs will be minimized or not considered by you. And the anger will come up with that sense of powerlessness, whether it's tears or feeling loud, like the road rage. A lot of people pleasers will just burst into tears when they're feeling angry. And the hurt is saying, like, you've hurt my feelings. Like, this is about somebody coming to rescue you and waiting for somebody else to notice or intervene. And so, by the way, you're assuming and trusting that the other person has it all figured out. And so waiting for them to tell you that you're good enough is taking you down the wrong track because they also haven't got it figured out. They haven't worked out how to have healthy, secure connections either. So when limiting feelings like guilt, fear, shame rise to the surface, it means that you're giving your power away, fearful that you won't be liked, accepted, or approved of, and you'll stop following your own path and start reacting to what other people's needs and their expectations. This is my cheeky sense of humor. This is like planting yourself in somebody else's soil, relying on their fertilizer to keep you growing, instead of planting yourself in your own paradise and having that having that blossom of that money tree. So no matter what you do, how much you give, how much you show up, whether it's staying late at work, helping in that one-sided friendship, overcompensating in family dynamics, you can never be certain that you will receive their validation, approval, or acceptance. And so you're just constantly on that spiral here of burnout, brain fog, fatigue. And it might, you might not notice that you're handing your power away, that you're putting the other people's first ahead of your own instead of having that collaborative relationship with someone. Your body's taking notice, right? So my question here is like, whose approval are you chasing? What role are you still performing from childhood that kept you safe back then? So what if they don't agree with you? Like, surely there's a way to have that healthy dynamic to share what you need. I need this, and I hear that your needs are important, but do you know what? Like, because that's a whole nother different skill. But starting to have that self-inquiry about what you're tolerating will start to shift those limiting emotions and the power dynamics. And so again, my question comes back to you to say, what are you tolerating? On the surface, it looks like you're just tolerating a messy kitchen, the dishes, but underneath it, it's not really about the dishes. It's about your nervous system bracing for childhood consequences, the fear of disapproval, the discomfort of others being uncomfortable, the quiet panic that asking for what you need might come at a cost to the connection. And so when you start to resolve these limiting emotions and what causes you to should yourself, to go back and notice, yes, in childhood, like I didn't have the choice to leave. I had a sophisticated strategy to ensure my survival. But now as a grown up, I have so many more resources that are available to me. And so instead of tidying the house because you should and you're trying to keep the peace, it now actually becomes a choice, and that level of self-care to know that, yeah, when my environment looks good, I feel good, that I can prepare meals for people from a place of love instead of resentment. I can keep the noise levels down to support that calm environment. And I can also mediate disputes with clarity and compassion, being able to, see things from different points of view, but also expressing what I need. And as a grown-up, once you do that inner work, it's like, yeah, I do have the choice and the freedom to choose. So when you think about the big things that you want, what you've been manifesting, the car, the travel, the financial freedom, the loving relationships, you do have the choice to do what's right for you. You can release the limiting emotions of fear, guilt, and shame. And when you do, things feel a lot easier. You ask for trusted help, you have that discernment, and other people feel invested and valued in your life because they know that there is that equal exchange, there's that collaboration. And so you start to fall in love with your life. After you've released all of those feelings of not being enough, the insecure takers, the one-sided friendships, those people start to reveal their true colors. They can't push your buttons anymore because you've done the inner work. Those buttons aren't there to be pushed. You feel non-reactive to their bait, and the power dynamic has changed. So they're faced with a choice. They can either also do the inner work like you did, or they can walk away. Either way, you get to fall in love with your life and start to manifest in those who have also valued that equal co-creation. So life is too short to should yourself, to live by other people's standards. And no wonder your intuition is craving that freedom. So my question here is, how do you feel about tolerating life without what you want? Your emotions are information about your limitations, how you're giving your power away, how you're holding yourself back to live up to other people's standards and expectations. And you can do something about it. Once you start to have that self-awareness, you're no longer waiting for divine timing. You're no longer waiting for help. You're actually activating divine timing. You understand that you're the CEO of your own life, and now you're feeling empowered to ask for what you want, to be in that union with people who understand and respect what's important to you. You start to accelerate the results that you want based on your values, what's important to you, instead of what's important to other people, and feeling resentful underneath that. So you can definitely start to shift and change those limiting emotions and get those real results when it comes to what you want in life. Instead of giving your power away, now claiming your power, you prioritize what you need, you're responding with clarity, you feel safe to say yes to the things that you want, you validate your own worth, you own your feelings and your choices, and you feel grounded and self-led, like you know what you stand for. And so this is where you come up to that elevated feeling of expansion, the joy, the excitement, the curiosity about what life has to offer. And then you're in that space to receive exactly what you want. Now, this is where that support, that trusted support, is so, so, so important. And I've got links below that will take you to a particular process that will help you connect into that guided support, because opening the door on what it is that you want means that you do also have to ask for support. You have to allow yourself to receive that in. Because my question here is, if you can't ask for help on the small things that you want, how are you going to ask for help on the big things that you want, that matter to you, that are important to you? They're the reason why your intuition has drawn you to want those things that you want, to be able to free yourself from the limitations and to require more of yourself, to make those goals non-negotiable, to create what you want in life. Oh, so with that, I will leave that with you to consider what's been holding you back, what have you been tolerating, and just to start to have that self-awareness so that you have the empowerment to choose something new. I'm Claire Chancellor, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.